know how they can't separate church and state. With that is like written in the Constitution, but they would choose to put their, Christian and political beliefs. But then at the same time, they shame Muslims and Buddhists, and they're not open to any other. Yet we're founded on freedom of religion.
Yeah, but here's the thing. They don't want to hear any of that, because when you try to bring that to their attention, one, they don't care about the Constitution because it's not in the Bible. The Constitution isn't how that, no, but for real.
What are you talking about? Their guns? We're not taking what it is with their guns. It is when we're
Well,
talking freedom of speech
no, but
and
I mean
guns.
in the sense of how they lead their life, the morals the
Oh,
principles
okay.
that they base their life off of, right? So they do believe in the Constitution for certain things, because in the Bible it's written, yeah, where it's you obey the laws of the land.
Yeah.
So they don't want to hear any of that unless, again, it conforms to what they believe.
Mm-hmm.
And then they don't want to hear they want to shame people for being Muslim, Satanist, Buddhist, so on and so forth, because even on the monies, it's written one nation under God. Yeah. But the first rule of being here, like you said, is the freedom to express your religion. That's why a lot of people want to come here for a multitude of reasons. Yeah. But you're supposed to be able to freely do that. But I feel like a lot of them, if it's not Republican or falling in line with their beliefs, that's not America. Then why the fuck is it written freedom of religion, rule number motherfucking 1?
I was just thinking this. I forgot, like, when I'm super, invested in going to church all the time, like, number one rule in everyone, they're like priorities, God. They're like God, family, blah, blah, blah. But God was always number one. So if you're supposed to have separation of church and state, you can never have God number one if you have separation. You know what I mean? Like, think about it. Like, in their mind, separation of church and state cannot happen because God is number one. Like, it's God, you know what I mean? That's the only, exactly. That's number one. Yeah.
But that's the problem, is that they don't realize that you can't push your religion onto other people. Not everybody believes the same way that you do. Yeah. And it's like, it's going to piss me off if you try to push that onto me when I'm living in a free country, to where that I shouldn't have to. But
how do we have then that conversation with someone who puts God first? Because that's what the guy I talked to, he says he separates the two. So, and I'm like, he's a Christian, and he's not the demographic we're trying to appeal to.
I actually have a perfect example of somebody who I believe considers to separate them. Actually, my parents, okay, my mom and my dad, they're Christian people. They have very conservative values. And maybe that's somebody that maybe we should talk to one day. I think, like, my dad is an awesome fucking person to talk to, because sometimes he votes Democrat, sometimes he votes Republican. He has more libertarian values with the conservative undertones. So he votes for what's realistic, right? Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? Or what he feels.
Love that. Yeah, I try to do that too.
Or who's the best, right? Yeah. So it's not necessarily about being Republican or Democratic. So I love that. I feel like they're a very true example, because they hold their morals and their values to a good standard, but they also understand the reality of what the fuck's going on. But I feel like other people, unfortunately, it's not so much. It's because they can't. Yes, God is supposed to be number one. If you're supposed to live through him, for him, however you want to put it. Yeah. But you also have to understand, there's not everybody is going to feel that way, and you just can't force that onto other people. That's not fair. And I don't understand how they think that is fair.
Yeah. That's what I mean. That's why I would love to, with them, if they do have that voting mentality, because I didn't ask him that question, but he said he doesn't put his values on other people. And I would love to just speak from them. They're older, been through a little more, and ask them just more their take on it, just to give me a different point of view. Because, yeah, it seriously is like, how do you, but at the same time, we're talking about more the ass backwards people. And because your parents probably accept Muslims and Buddhists, and is Muslim is this but just
They love everybody,
yeah,
which
they
is
love
how
every
you're
yeah,
supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? You're supposed to have a loving and open heart
yeah.
for all of your brothers and sisters, regardless.
But I mean, I grew up thinking all these other, I mean, if you're Baptist, I don't know if you know about strict Southern Baptists, but we grow up thinking,
That's how I grew up.
oh, everyone else is bad, even Protestants, Catholics, because Catholics love Mary. So they're going to hell because they love Mary. Like Southern Baptists believe everybody else is wrong except Southern Baptists,
Can
even
I tell you a
Christians.
joke?
Yeah.
You want to hear something? I can't make this shit up.
Let's give the listeners.
When you said this, okay, so like I said, I grew up, my grandfather's a pastor, and he's, I guess you could say, evangelistic, I guess is
Yeah.
more so what they were, because he
That's what they call
traveled
missionary
to
type,
preach.
like well, spreading the
Yes.
word. Yes, that's the invention.
So his favorite line,
Here we go.
no, I have to tell you this, and then I'll let you move on. But his favorite line when we used to be in service was, "And when you're sick, you're gonna call the doctor and not the doctor's mother." Because Catholics, they pray to Mary, who's God's mother. But if you were in a situation to where you needed to be healed, you're gonna call on God and not God's mother. That's
Just
just
taking a jab at Catholics. That's what
yes.
like. It's just like you're the same. You fighting the same battle here.
Y'all damn near basically have the same core values for the most part.
Even the Nation of Islam has it's a month that has a single God, and then they have the Prophet Muhammad, who's Jesus. Like it's literally the same. They pray to Allah. It's God. That's what if you watch the show Rami. I tell everyone, Rami made me really like Muslims are just like Christians. They just, are Middle Eastern. Yeah, like it's literally the exact same thing. And they just and I appreciate their religion and like Buddha because they take shit more seriously. Christians be like, you can murder people. This dude stole people, killed people, and then was on the cross next to Jesus Christ and just repented 2 seconds going to heaven.
Well,
Like,
these are also the same people whose pastor are touching their son and they let it go because he's a man of God.
yeah,
So
that's what I'm like. Yeah. So
real shit.
we don't got to go down the rabbit hole. Let's actually stick on the topic of the ass backwards, and they can't have the conversation and abortion.
So
Let's get on a. Or wait, you were talking about gay marriage. I think that's what.
yeah, that's what
I was talking about. That's what I lost my train of thought. You were talking about gay marriage, and I want to talk about they hate people that don't want to get married, or I'm phrasing that wrong. They think for some
out
reason
of wedlock, like if you're having sex or living together or something like that, that's not right, right? Was that what you were saying?
No, but I do want to tell you, I am so ashamed of still that. Like, I do still have that mentality because of my upbringing, which I'm training, but it's like, I still think like a family is married.
I don't
Once
think
I have,
anything's wrong with that.
yeah,
I just think, go ahead.
no, I'm just saying, I feel like I do. Like, I think there's something wrong with that mentality. Like, I wish I didn't have that mentality.
No, I don't think anything's wrong with it. I think, growing up how we were raised that is what's considered a family when you're a joined union, but it doesn't, to each their own. Some people don't, some people believe it's just a piece of paper, and that it's, because I mean it really is, it's what you put into your relationship. So I would prefer to be married to have a family, so I can get behind that, but I also understand that doesn't work for everybody.
Yeah.
But so back to the LGBTQ though. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was like, yeah, let's not get on a different thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know a lot of people this day and age who are super against gay marriage. A lot of people now, do you know a lot of people against? I know more people who are against like the they, them, and the genders now. That's the now movement. Do you know a lot of people who are against gay marriage?
I think back where I'm from, I mean, now I live in, Richmond, Virginia. I feel like everybody's very open, very, from what I've experienced and the people that I've had the honor of meeting, growing friendships with, so on and so forth. I feel like over here it's a lot more advanced, of course, versus Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So here, widely accepted by everybody I know. Now, do I still know some people that are against gay marriage? Of course. Like back, unfortunately, where I'm from, even though it's legalized, you know, certain family members, certain friends who still never get out of or don't get to experience life outside of that. So they do think it's a bad thing. Yeah, I know quite a few people who
Oh wow.
now, but some people would love to say, I don't agree with it, but if that's what you're gonna do, that's cool.
I hate that line.
I don't have to agree with it, but I'm just like, yeah. So I know quite a few. Do you?
I feel like not anymore. Mainly because obviously in getting older, and I didn't grow in like the same town and meet a lot of the same people, but no, that's what I say. I feel a lot of the stuff I get from friends, or not like personal friends, just people that follow me or I follow, social media, stuff like that, is more the with the genders. They're more thrown off from accepting that or unable to
Being
accept that.
trans. Mm-hmm.
Well, not even trans, because maybe there may be more understanding the trans than understanding why. I guess trans, yes.
Well, it is because you're transitioning, right? I know some people refer to themselves, which I think that would be awesome, to actually maybe have a conversation with somebody about this using
Oh yeah,
different
that's what.
pronouns.
Yeah.
Because I would like to learn more about that. Unfortunately, I'm not that educated in that
Um,
subject. And I would love to be informed on
yeah.
it so I can be more respecting to the, you know, and understanding to the community. We can all stand together, you know.
Yeah.
But I do know a lot of people that I see, like you said, on social media that throw shit fits. For instance, I actually had a conversation with somebody the other day about a woman, well, a man who had transitioned to become a woman who
Mhm.
had won a women's sporting event.
Yeah.
And it became like a whole huge topic of
Mhm.
should she even have gained that title? And I see a lot of uproar about that.
I
She,
know, and I
yeah.
admit that is a controversial situation that I need education about. Because how if someone who does have the hormones of a man competing in a female sport, and then and every same thing with the opposite way, you're getting uh different hormones induced and taking stuff so you can transition, and even the age of transition, those things, like I'm not knowledgeable enough to know that if someone at 12, 13 is able, because that's when I was shadowing at the psychiatry practice, there's people at 13 going through transition and taking hormones and stuff, and yeah,
It
that's
kind of makes you wonder if that's one of those things, like, because, you know, when you're younger, for the most part, you know, like if you like boys or girls
yeah.
or not. So it kind of like makes you wonder if you can know at 3 or 4 that you're a boy and you like boys.
Yeah.
Maybe you did, but I see a lot of people from the right who are very, I feel like they have a lot of issues with just understanding what human rights are.
Yeah.
You know what
But
I mean? Like, I don't mean to say that to be harsh and that
uh,
everybody from the right isn't woke or doesn't
the
know some
reason the
shit.
right is white, because human rights have always been given to the white, to
But
where
yes, absolutely right. But when you think about it, not only just in that aspect, 100%, but for instance, like in the LGBTQ community, it doesn't matter if you're black or white. They just don't want it. It's a disgrace to them.
yeah.
So some things, yeah, but it's like in other certain situations, or how they get upset, how we, you and I would be are outraged when we see that there's children in cages and the living conditions that they're in, and then you have these people saying that they deserved it because they crossed the border to create a better life for their family. Do
Yeah.
you know how long? I don't think they understand truly how long the process is to become a citizen
Mhm.
and the living conditions there. Because let's be real, all you white motherfuckers, when you're going to Mexico and shit like that, you're staying on resorts.
Yeah.
You don't see the constant murder, the raping of women, the kidnapping of children. There's reasons that these people are fleeing and coming here. It's not because they want to be pieces of shit who just hop a border and think that they should just take everything. Then they blame people who are leaving for taking their jobs because they work harder and get paid less.
Yeah.
I've never understood that either. My father had an interesting argument. He's like, well, what about, where we're going to place everybody? The housing market's fucking ridiculous right now.
Yeah.
So, but I always felt like that was the ass backwards belief as well. When they're shaming people, you're okay with going to vacation in these countries and live your best life. But when these people want to come over to protect their family and provide their family a better life, a better education, better chances, more opportunities, you're mad at that? You want them to die?
Yeah, that's the modern version of it. What about the same thing? Why they like to say under God, the same. That's the modern day. They're hating that we're vacationing and spending all this money there. But what about our principles? Every Republican likes to talk about our principles, how we were founded. We were founded by a melting pot of a bunch of different people fleeing and, coming to this country and making it one.
Literally.
We erased the whole, massacring a whole race of people. And we just, we don't need to go and touch on that because we all don't know too much about that. Like, yes, that happened. It's horrible. But everything else about America was founded on the principles and ideas of inclusion and acceptance of anyone who was fleeing freedom.
Your individuality as well too, fleeing for your freedom, being able to come over here and not have to fear if you're going to be murdered because you're praying a different prayer than the country that you're living in, or fleeing the country because you know that these people are going to break into your house and rape your children. It's a lot of fucked up ideologies, and then instead of wanting to help these people, they get more angry, and it's, well, I can't find a job because of these motherfuckers crossing. But you realize that the government has a whole plate of cookies, right? They're giving you a cookie and sitting you in front of an immigrant telling you that he's trying to take your cookie. Can you paint that picture? But really, and people, no, but for real, and they buy it.
They do.
They like to deflect the blame
Yes.
on anybody other than themselves.
Oh,
it's so much easier to say an immigrant is taking my job versus, goddamn, I'm a lazy piece of shit.
I don't want to get too sidetracked on that, but that's the same relation to, no, like now being back in the service industry and the people I'm working with, and they may see and I'm like, yeah, I just work these 3 days and I'll bust my ass those days so I can create and do the things I want to in these days. And they're just like, well, I want to, but this, and I want to, but I'm like, and I'm just like, I've been there where I had an excuse and made every excuse and used the job as this and do, because you just want to deflect the blame, why you're not doing this, or you're not achieving these things just because you're just lazy or don't want to put in the work. Like a guy who doesn't speak English from another country, who doesn't look like the manager, who doesn't have kids that look like the man, he has a better chance than you. No, you're just not putting in the work.
Exactly. Like, you're going to argue with me that they have a better chance than you. And I believe, forgive me because I'm not trying to sound harsh, racist, or be weird, but some of these people can't even make it through the fucking interview because they haven't learned English yet. And you're telling me that your chances are that much harder for somebody who can barely speak an English
No,
sentence.
we're just being honest. It's not, those are stating facts by saying you're going to lose your job from someone who can barely speak English. They're coming from Guatemala, from different countries, Ecuador, and they're fleeing persecution and being gangs and they can speak broken English, and you're afraid that whatever job that is seeking you the pursuit of happiness in America is going to get robbed by that person.
That's not only is it going to get robbed by that person, but not only can they speak a full sentence of English, but they're wanting $5 an hour when you're wanting 17.
Because they will work.
Who's going to work harder?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know who's going to work harder. Which, not to say that, there aren't white people who work very hard, but I feel like the people who are complaining the most about that, not to say that they're not hard workers, but there's something not right there if you can't comprehend why it's easier to employ them. They're going to bust their ass and they're going to do it for a
Shut the
14th
fuck
of the
up.
wage.
Yeah.
Mm.
But this all relates to, like, yes, they don't want to accept their human rights, but once again, they want their guns. The
Mm-hmm.
only thing we can get them to be passionate about
Just
is
guns.
their guns. And even my friend Hunter was like, "Man, did you hear? They might come in if you have guns. The police can come into your house, maybe with that new law Biden's doing." I'm like, no, like one,
They've
like
been saying that literally. I'm not even exaggerating, Dono. They've been saying this since I was. I remember my biological father showing me videos of when Australia was taking their guns, and they're like, "Oh, if Obama gets, this is what's going to happen to us." I literally got into an argument with my boss about this the other day. I'm like, "You guys have been saying that we're going to take your guns for fucking years just because we want better restrictions to end fucking, I don't know, school shootings." Like, what?
what scenario is a machine gun ever, like, I get it, it might be cool to have, like, you might look like a big dick dude, like you had a, but what scenario ever in a civilian situation is a
It's
machine
inappropriate.
gun an automatic, right? When is that needed? This isn't Call of
So
Duty.
I get kind of, because I believe in gun rights. I don't think
Yeah,
that's an issue. I would love to
yeah.
carry. I don't think you do either. But something that's an argument that I've kind of had. So I spoke with my boss, and he kind of, I can understand more so what he's saying. And what he was talking about, he's like, for me personally, it's not about, oh, I'm gonna walk into the store with a AR-15 strapped across my fucking back. It's more so, this is my hobby. It's what I enjoy doing. So I would like to have this gun because I like to go out to a shooting range and, soup it up, something that it's my hobby, right? So I can respect that. But what I can't respect is the fucking white man in Oklahoma City when they passed or he was trying to show his pay. I don't fucking know what he was doing, but he went to, what's that chicken spot? It's like open until like 4 a.m. in Oklahoma City. They drizzle honey all over the fried chicken. It's a truck. Fuck. I forgot what it's called. It's the best chicken in Oklahoma City, bro.
Oh,
Anyway,
tell
it's
me.
black owned.
Oh, are you talking about Ishins?
No, that's outside of Oklahoma City. This is actually in Oklahoma City. Kind of, I think if I remember correctly, it's kind of over by Northwest 23rd-ish area.
Oh,
I'll
I'm
have
right
to ask
over here.
Sierra. But
Oh, that chicken's honey biscuit chick, is that place? No, not that place. No.
I'll
I'm
really
right on
have to
23rd.
ask. But long story short, this is this bomb chicken truck. It's open till like 4 o'clock in the mornings on the weekends, and it's a black owned. Why do you feel the need as a white man to go to a black owned place with the AR-15 strapped to your back, 2 pistols on your hip? And I think he had like another gun strapped, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong. I know he had 2 pistols and an AR-15 strapped across his back. Then he went from there into Twin Peaks. I get that you're trying to make a statement, but at that point, nobody feels safe. Nobody feels comfortable.
Yeah.
There's too many crazy people. Why the fuck would you think that that's showing your patriotism? Because you can show how many guns you can strap to your back. Fuck that. That I can't get behind. And when I try to argue with my boss, he's like, what does it matter? You can't argue because it's legal. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I mean, you're not wrong.
But I got arrested for having shake weed in my car. But
Fuck, man.
but
But a white man can go around strapped the fuck up in certain situations, and it's all peaches and cream.
what the way you were describing that, I was like, I remember when I was serving at TGI Fridays, I was like, and it was like a Monday morning lunch shift, and I think one of my guests, he had a handgun concealed carry, and I was just like, it got me a little scared because I'm just like, why do you need a gun in TGI Fridays lunch
For
shift?
what?
Yeah, like that's I'm like what, like
Because I get it. Like, there's like my boss, for instance, he has a gun on him at all times. I didn't know that until he told me the other day. He literally did like a full 360. He's like, do you see anything? Do you see anything? And I'm
That's,
like, no. He's like, then what's the problem? I'm like, that's not a problem. You're not using it for intimidation
that's what I
purposes.
was like,
You're
yeah.
using it in case something goes down and you have to
That
pull
was
that
it.
shit out and shoot. Other people, when you're out flashing it like that,
It
it won't
scares.
bother me as much if you have a pistol on your hip.
I mean, it's more like we're in a restaurant. Like, what scenario? It's more like, what's the need? Like, what's going on in your life that you need to bring that in? Yeah.
They'll create any and every scenario to have a reason to publicly display their gun. I know because I have heard it. I've heard some dumb shit as to why, and it's unfortunate because they can point to situations like, for instance, why would you carry a gun in a church? But then they'll bring up the issue in Texas, how there was a shooting in a church, and I could have saved the day. Most of you motherfuckers are running out. You're not pulling your gun.
Yeah, you're gonna just stand in front, yeah. But that's what I mean. They want their rights on full display, but any type of flamboyancy from any other side
It's not okay.
is not okay. That's
I don't understand that. Again, I'm all for gun rights. I just
yeah,
believe that we need some stricter laws because there shouldn't be a reason that we're having, hundreds and thousands of kids losing their lives just for showing up to get an education.
yeah.
And then they want to paint a picture because the vast majority of the pictures are by white men about, oh, well, he was so abused. He didn't get love and attention. Well, what about all these fucking black communities? They're not going up and shooting up the fucking school.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Oh no, they talk about how they only have the single parent home, and that's what they're going. That's why they don't. That's why they're committing all these crimes. Blah blah blah. But then the second the guy from the two parent home who just maybe dad worked too much and neglected him, but and chose all these different activities, yada yada yada. There's always an excuse, but that's why a lot of people. I like comedians who joke about why the LGBT community, especially like movement, was more accepted because
Mhm.
white men are involved.
Okay.
And like it's like a joke, but kind of serious at the same time. And that's kind of like this, like when the same thing with all the shooters, like the reason why it's swept under the rug because it's a lot of white men.
And they paint a picture to make you feel more sympathy and empathy for them. But when it's a black man, when it's a Hispanic man, when it's, these are dirty people, they're raping our women, they're selling drugs, they're this, that, and the other, and that really bothers me too. It also really bothered me during the Black Lives Matter movement, when a lot of people, there was a little white boy who was murdered. I forget his name. It's very tragic. He was
Oh,
playing
I
out in his front
remember
yard.
by some black dude who escaped.
Yeah. And so they got mad and they were posting all over social media. Why aren't you talking about this? Because he got justice handed to him on a silver fucking platter. That dude was arrested like the next fucking day. Don't try to take away from our hurt and our pain and what we're preaching by somebody who immediately got justice, because the people that we've lost have received no justice. They're still not receiving justice.
I remember that. I was like, oh, and then I was like, oh, he was arrested. Like, why are y'all going? Why are y'all mad? Hey, don't forget to follow me on social media: Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok, whatever you want,